All hail Biafra. This is Biafra Liberation Army Network coming to you again. Please like, share, and comment.
You heard it. Justice James Omotosho has said that the case of extraordinary rendition, there is no evidence on his desk. He has not had no evidence on that. And for that reason, the trial of Nnamdi Kanu must go on. On the other hand, when it comes to the health condition, Nigerian government are saying no, that they are worried for Nnamdi Kanu to be in a government hospital, even though what you're about to hear now, the legal team are saying they've also provided the services of a private hospital. I told you all, don't keep your heart high when it comes to Nigeria. They've said, okay, they'll come back in the next 8 days to bring some more information based on the health condition of Nnamdi Kanu. Today was just a jamboree by Nigeria, the same things they do. We know them very well. We know Nigeria very well. We know the way they roll, the way they parole. What we told you guys, do not get involved in their war. Observe them, just observe. Watch the way they are doing their stuff. Watch the way they conduct themselves. Don't get involved. At this point, before I speak much further, I want you to hear the briefings from our legal team, Barrister Aloy Ejimakor, and also the great barrister Maxwell Opara, as they give or shed more lights on what happened today in courts. Nigeria will be Nigeria. At the time when they are freeing the terrorists and everybody, they are doing deals, peace accord everywhere in that zoo. But when it comes to the Biafran man, the game is different. A different ballgame entirely. So watch this, and this will blow your mind. If you're ready, let's go there. Watch this.
But there is the other aspect of the ruling that concerns extraordinary remission. That very one is one that compounded us. Because the extraordinary rendition of Nnamdi Kanu is so open and notorious. There are two international institutions or two separate panels of the United Nations have made pronouncements regarding his extraordinary rendition and called for his unconditional release. Nigeria is a member of the United Nations and therefore bound to consider that and implement that decision. And in Nigeria here, 3 courts have made similar pronouncements. First was by the Federal High Court of Omaya, which awarded him 500 million naira. And the Court of Appeal also pronounced that he was a victim of extraordinary rendition. And in the Supreme Court, the same Supreme Court that sent this case back to trial, reached the same conclusion that he was a victim of extraordinary rendition. And all these things are of the record. They are all in the file. And we remember when this trial was being conducted, these very documents were tendered in evidence. So it compounded us, it confused us, that the court now made a pronouncement that the extraordinary rendition had no evidence before the court, that no evidence of it was submitted before the court. And you remember, least but not the last, recently a Kenyan High Court made the same pronouncement. But well, if the court was misled by believing by mistake that these things were not in evidence, it also said and left the door open that such evidence be submitted. So we're coming back with that evidence, and it's going to be quantum and legion.
What about the first application on the enemy?
Well, that one too, it wasn't in evidence that the Nigerian Medical Association has intervened. So it came as a surprise, but there's a short date given of 8 days for the NMA to submit its report. So if somebody is ill, somebody is ill, I don't think NMA is going to change much of that. But I think the judge wanted to leave the record open to admit every possible evidence regarding this matter. Our client emergent care. So whatever the court says today does not mean that the government shall withdraw back. Just 2 days ago, I wrote a letter. A private hospital has also expressed readiness to admit him here in Abuja. For security reasons, I won't mention the name of the private hospital. But the government, if the government appears to have issues with taking him to the national hospital, we have given them an option of a private hospital also here in Abuja.
So it's safe to say that the application to be transferred to the national hospital was rejected?
Rejected? No, it's pending. Yes.
One other information.
It has not been rejected.
Pending
It's pending. Pending the admission of this report from the Nigerian Medical Association and the opinion of Nigerian Medical Association. I know if you were in court, the judge had ordered that committee or panel to be considered by the Nigerian Medical Association shall have a member from the National Hospital. So National Hospital is still in play.
Thank you very much.
One other information, please. One other information. We are saying that the judge has no jurisdiction whatsoever to try Nnamdi Kanu, because that particular issue of being a victim of extraordinary rendition must be determined, because and that one will be whether they will be the one that will confer jurisdiction on the court, and the court said there is no evidence before him. Now we are going to supply evidence before him that Nnamdi Kanu was extraordinary rendition. Then having done that, there is no case to answer. So that you should go home with that, and if they fail to do otherwise, we will not see it as a war against the Igbos.
We shall see it as a war against the Igbos. I really appreciate our brother Barrister Maxwell Okpara for those words. That's something we've been saying from day one. We know these things. It's a war against us. The Biafran war has not ended. One of the highly revered journalists in Nigeria, Rufai Yoseni, said the Biafran war has not ended. That they know. Those were his words. That they know that the Biafran war has not ended. So, if you guys see this situation with Nnamdi Kanu as a legal matter, well, you've had it your own way. Those that say Sabanekpa was a problem, just keep Sabanekpa somewhere and they'll release Nnamdi Kanu. Before your eyes, you see the way they are rolling now when it comes to Nnamdi Kanu's case. It's now a child's play, a free fight for all, a jamboree now. They don't care anymore. They're then scared because they assume Nnamdi Kanu is the big prize. And even Simon Ekpa was the bigger prize. Finland, this one falls on your desk. Finland, I hope you are observing the way Nigeria conducts themselves. I hope you're seeing how the judicial system of Nigeria conducts herself. Finland, oh Finland, I swear to God, you will never have anything good come from Biafra. You have tarnished your name, your reputation, when it comes to us, the Biafrans. For the fact that you colluded with a country like Nigeria, a country that went to Kenya to kidnap somebody, a government in Nigeria went to Kenya to kidnap Nnamdi Kanu. Until this day, they are still finding a way to justify. That's what they did. That dastardly act they did was, was right. Even the judges are trying to try Nnamdi Kanu, doing the wrongs, trying to right the wrongs of Nigeria that went to Kenya to kidnap someone. And today Britain is keeping quiet. Despite Nnamdi Kanu has a British passport, Britain is keeping quiet. You see, we know the games that they play. This is what they play. This is the game they play. The only language you understand is Biafrans standing up and defending themselves. For those who blackmailed Simon Ekpa, IPOB Nigeria Limited, you assume that once you blackmail Simon Ekpa, then somehow your partnership with Nigeria will work out and they will release Nnamdi Kanu. Well, today I've got news for you. Today they are saying that they don't have any evidence of the so-called abduction of Nnamdi Kanu through an extraordinary rendition. The judge, Justice James Omotosho, is saying he has no evidence. No evidence was provided. By now you will assume it's already, a norm, because even the deaf, dumb and blind knows about the case of the extraordinary rendition of Nnamdi Kanu from Kenya to Nigeria. The man he's holding there in that court, Nnamdi Kanu, was kidnapped from Kenya by the Nigerian government. But the highly so-called learned judge, Justice James Omotosho, is saying he has no clue about the case of extraordinary rendition. To the Yorubas, this is the problem. You need to call your own out. Call your own out, because when we speak ill of your so-called, stakeholders, when we speak ill of them, you assume the Biafrans are your enemies. But you need to find a way to call yours out. Everybody knows about the extraordinary rendition of Nnamdi Kanu. Everybody, every Tom, Dick, and Harry knows about it. But today, Justice James Omotosho is saying he has no clue. He has no information about it. There is no evidence before him. There is no evidence before him. So, fellow Biafrans, like I said, we shouldn't take into heart the activities happening in Nigeria when it comes to we the Biafrans or our leader Nnamdi Kanu. We see the way they roll. We know how they roll, that even when they can't get the job done, they use our own to blackmail us and tarnish us. You saw the way they tarnished the reputation of Simon Ekpa with his own. People like Bianca or Noah and the rest of them went to Finland to blackmail Simon Ekpa, to destroy his image. And today, Finland is so happy that one of those that represent Biafra came to Finland to testify against Nnamdi Kanu or against Simon Ekpa. Pardon me. We saw how the three men from IPOB, they collaborated with the Nigerian government to fly to Finland to testify against Simon Ekpa. I repeat, 3 members of the IPOB sent by the DOS and the Nigerian government went to Finland to testify in a court case between Nigeria, Finland, and Nigeria. IPOB members, 3 IPOB members went to Finland to testify against Simon Ekpa. We all know Nnamdi Kanu is the pioneer of IPOB. But today, that same Nigeria has denied the freedom of Nnamdi Kanu. So make that make sense. Make that to make sense. That IPOB members, they worked with Nigeria. They discussed the plan. They had a sit-down meeting. Came with a master plan on how to send 3 members of IPOB to Finland to testify, to become witnesses against Simon Ekpa in Finland. And that same Nigeria government that they worked with has refused to release Nnamdi Kanu, who is the founder of IPOB. Then the question anybody should ask, the question any lay person should ask, is who is behind those that sat down with the Nigerian government, whereby 3 members were picked out from IPOB to assist Nigerian government to get Simon Ekpa convicted in Finland. Who were the middlemen? Who were the agents? Who made those calls? Who contacted those DOS members? Those that say they have the power of command and control. Those that say they rule. Who made those contacts? Who solicited their service when Nigeria is holding a wallet and Nnamdi Kanu? But somehow Nigeria could do a deal with the IPOB members and the DOS to look among themselves and pick 3 people that can nail Simon Ekpa on the cross in Finland. Make that make sense. And today, that same Nigeria has denied Nnamdi Kanu. It tells you that the moles are everywhere. The agents, the saboteurs are everywhere. Both in IPOB, both in the DOS. The enemies are everywhere. They're everywhere. It is clear. To call a spade, Yakubu Gowon said that if he had known that there are some elements within the eastern region that would take money and sell their brother Ojukwu, he wouldn't have gone to that war. All he could have done was to pay those guys out. And they would tarnish the image of Ojukwu and get him killed in the process. It's a slap on the face that they have allowed the words of Yakubu Gowon to come to pass. He's been vindicated from saying that. Because today, those that worked with Nigeria against Simon Ekpa, the most beloved disciple of Nnamdi Kanu, those IPOB members that worked with Nigeria to testify against Simon Ekpa, today, Nigeria has denied the leader of IPOB. Make that make sense. Fellow Biafrans, I'll leave it here. All I want to say is don't forget that the last words, the instructions given to us by our Prime Minister, His Excellency, Master Simon Ekpa, when he was here with us, he told us that all eyes must remain on the rising sun. We must keep our eyes on Biafra. We must remain resolute and focused. We must support our Deputy Prime Minister, Her Excellency, Dr. Ngozi Orabueze, because she is the one that belongs to the structure of Simon Ekpa, that mold created by Simon Ekpa. We must respect the structure. We must make sure that we support the government and the cabinet. We must make sure that Simon Ekpa's legacy is not put in ruin. We must support the government. Because when you look around, all you see are saboteurs. I rest my case.